thank you so much for watching. If you saw my first video, I talked about the audition process just briefly. Here in this video, I'm going to elaborate on that much more, just so anyone who has an interest in the program can be prepared for that experience. So I actually found out that I was accepted to the program before our auditions happened. This was very nice. I think for me it was kind of a sense of security knowing that I could go to the program whether or not I got accepted as an entertainer. So our auditions were held in Salt Lake. I went up with one of my friends from school, which was very nice, to encourage each other and kind of fight off those jitters and any nervousness. But we went up to Salt Lake, and the first thing that you need to know about Disney auditions, I've been to another one in the past just at Disneyland for fun, is the second you get out of the car, you are on, you're excited, you're happy, you're attentive, everyone's your best friend, you are professional and ready to go. So a lot of people ask about what to wear to the auditions, or like hair and makeup, how that all happens. With the two auditions I've been to, it really ranges from people who look like professionals to people who look like they really rolled out of bed like 5 minutes before. I do tend to go more towards the professional side of it, just because for me that helps me feel confident and hopefully gives them the impression that, you know, I would be a good employee, someone to work with. But they do ask that you don't do like full stage makeup. They do want to see what you look like pretty naturally, but you also don't want to look, again, like you rolled out of bed. Like you want to have something to make you feel awake, to add, I don't know, some dimension to your face. I would recommend like at least some blush, some lip gloss, and maybe some fake eyelashes, just so you can kind of attract that attention without being too crazy. As far as dress goes, they don't really tell you what to wear. I know for my past auditions I've just worn like some nice leggings and a nice, not a t-shirt, but more of a blouse that was stretchy enough that it would be comfortable to be dancing in, which was very nice. And I also recommend something more slim fitting, just so they can see your figure and see those details about how you dance and use your body. I did see girls there with like a sports bra and then a thin tank top, which is fine. I know for me that's not something that I would feel super comfortable with. I don't feel like it gives off that professional kind of style. And then there were others who were just wearing sweats or just wore like a sports bra and shorts, and that was it. So that's about everything I can think about as far as dress goes. But when you actually get to the audition, you want to be there early. Usually when they post the auditions, they'll say don't be any earlier than this time. And I believe that that is an hour before the actual audition starts. I personally wouldn't recommend getting there like right at an hour before it starts, but maybe like 15 or 20 minutes later. The pros to being there early is if they are there and like out and about and they see that you're there, but also the main thing is stretching and warming up, because when they start the audition they expect you to be ready to go. They don't waste time with any warm-ups. So the audition happens, I want to say quickly. It feels like it goes really fast, but it actually takes a really long time. So when you first get there, they will give you a number, and you'll tape that somewhere on your body where they can see it, where it's not going to fall off all the time. And then they start the first round. And this is kind of, hi puppy, this is kind of their way to get a feel for the group, kind of see what kind of talent is there, any potential that's there. So they start things off pretty easy for the first round. In our first round, we started out and we learned a very, very simple parade march. It's something that people who haven't danced a lot or at all could probably easily pick up. Just a simple marching step, and then probably like 2, maybe 3 counts of 8. But then they also, for the first round, do some acting and kind of see how your animation skills are. So for our audition, they did something like pick one of your favorite characters and pretend that you're on a float and you're that character, and how would you interact with the crowd. So at first they just kind of let you go and test things out, and then they'll pull you back in after a few minutes. They're like, okay, like that was good, but you know, try being really specific, doing this and this and this. So they do give you tips along the way, but they also expect you to be able to use your own creativity and kind of come up with your own spin on those characters. So that was the first round. Our group was so big that they split us into 2 separate groups. So I was in the first group in the first round, and they just have everybody like move to the back of the room, and then they put you in lines and you'll do the parade march, and then you do animation, and then it's the next group, they do parade march, animation until the entire group has gone. And so in your first round, before you even leave the room, they will actually have everybody come and sit down while the judging panel kind of reviews everyone's application and the numbers and who stood out to them. I believe they actually like write it down and take notes while they're watching. So they were it only took them like 2 minutes to collaborate and talk. But then they go through the list and they say, if we call your name, then we want you to stay for round 2. If we don't, thank you so much, but we aren't going to use you in entertainment. And it's a pretty big cut the first time. One thing that I have learned with the Disney auditions is that they know exactly what they're looking for. So if they think that you would fit, then they'll keep you on for a little bit longer. If they can tell that it wouldn't be a good fit this time, then they'll just send you home. So I believe I was number 15, and my friend that I was with was 14. So they went through and called all the numbers, and they said 14, and then it was kind of that panic, like, oh my gosh, she's gonna stay and I'm gonna have to sit and watch, but I'm not gonna get in. And I was her ride, so I really would have had to stay and just be patient. And it felt like it was a year before they got to my number, but they did call me back for the second round. So after kind of everybody clears out, they bring you into a different room and they hand you paperwork. So this is where you fill out your information, your height, your eye color, your hair color. If you have any tattoos on your body, they need to know about it. And they actually do bring a measurement system. And one thing that you will learn really quickly with Disney and entertainment is they are very, very picky on their height. I know a lot of people have seen like the Disney character heights, and it seemed pretty close to that when I was there, at least from my experience. So after they've gone through and measured everybody and gotten paperwork, they will start round 2. And round 2 is kind of just an amped up version of round 1. So this time you don't learn another parade march, but you do learn a more difficult dance routine. And with this dance routine, they teach it a lot faster. It's a lot more detailed. Again, in my dancing experience, I wouldn't say that it was particularly a hard routine, but they do expect you to catch on to the details and to be attentive and not need a lot of explanation or review, though they are happy to go back and review any steps. They taught us a song from Moana. So that was a really fun experience. It had just come out not too long before. So we got to learn that dance to Moana, and then they did the real animation stuff. So they asked us not to share exactly what they had us do, but just so you can kind of get a feel, some examples that I've heard are like, pretend you're washing a dog, or pretend that you're walking through the forest and you get lost, or you need to build a house. And so basically it's just like silent acting, so you have to be able to come up with it on the spot, be creative, and be very detailed. So they need to be able to tell what you're doing. So like if, for example, you're walking through a door, you need to like show them the door and the handle, and you pull it and then you walk through. And for us, we were not humans in our animation, so it was more than just acting out what you were doing, but it was also an embodiment of this whole different species and character. So for me, that was my first experience doing something like that, and I felt so weird. It was very uncomfortable, but I decided that I was just gonna go for it. If I looked like a fool, then that's fine, but I didn't want them to have any question that I wouldn't give like 100% if I was working for them. So I just went for it. I don't know if it was good or not, but I had fun. You know, they let you practice a few times before they do like the final audition with the judges. So I kind of got a good feel for it. I got to see kind of what other people were doing, draw some things that I liked from that, some things that I didn't like from that. And then what happened from there, after we had learned the dance and the animation, is they took us out of the studio and they numbered us off in groups of 4 or 5. And so my group went in. We were a group of 4, I believe. And we were actually, I want to say we were the first group to go in. And so they first had us do the dance. We did it twice, so we had 2 people in front, 2 people in the back, and then we would switch and do it again. So that was very nice because it allowed us to kind of hold on to that choreography that can sometimes just leave your brain super fast. So we did that, and then, oh, my puppy's gonna come and see me. So we did that, and then we went on to the animation, and that they only give you 1 shot once the judges are in there. So you've got to make sure that you are ready to go, that you give 100%, because you don't get the second chance like we do with the dancing. And I love you. So that was very interesting. And then once you're done, they have you all stand in one line according to your numbers, and they pull out your applications and they kind of point through and see like who they think they want to stay a little bit longer, who they think is okay to go. And once you reach round 2, they have your paperwork, so if they like you, they don't necessarily need to keep you around any longer. They'll just send you home, and you could get a spot, you could not get a spot, but it doesn't really depend. After round 2, you could get hired anyway. So they had us all stand in a line, and I saw my application, I saw like my handwriting, and so I was watching it. And as I mentioned before, they're super strict on height. So they were looking at each other, they pointed to where they had written my height down, they were like, oh, I don't know, maybe that would be okay. And of course they're being super quiet, so I'm just like watching their facial expressions, and I was so nervous. And then kind of the main guy was like, oh no, it's okay, like we'll keep her. And so I was like, oh my gosh, and they were like, Caitlin, will you come up here for a minute? So I walked up there, and they sent the rest of my group out, and then they talked to me about if I had any tattoos, which I didn't, or when my acceptance date was, or when I was starting, kind of that thing. And then they did ask me to stay for round 3, but they didn't tell me like what I was gonna be doing.